here they are. This is the full list of the Weather Channel's winter storm names.
And we start with Atlas, which we could see in the coming days, and we'll end with Zephyr. Last year's big storm was Nemo. This year, the end storm will be named Nika.
And we went through the entire alphabet last year, and we had to start over with Achilles. And the same thing, it's possible once again this year. Veteran winter forecaster and current winter weather expert at the Weather Channel, Tom Niziol, is here. He's going to talk with us to just talk about why,
the whens, all the W questions, because
that.
He's the guy that helps decide it. And Tom, you are joining us live from Buffalo, New York via Skype because we may be needing you this week.
Yeah, we really could be naming a storm this week. We're looking at the system coming out of the Rockies. Now, in the middle of winter, this probably wouldn't be a big story, but we're looking at a storm that could produce heavy, wet snowfall in areas that could be out into the plains that still have some leaves on trees. And that is a lethal combination. That is something that oftentimes will happen with these early season snowstorms like we have in October. And that is one of the guidelines that we will look at, storms that are out of season, kind of unique storms that can produce these types of early season impacts.
And Tom, really, what is the goal with this?
Oh, it's communication. It is making people aware of the fact that we have a storm system that they can track across the country that is going to affect a large area or a large population. We are going to be following National Weather Service winter weather warning thresholds as our guidelines for naming these storms. And we'll be looking, as I said, at large population centers and large areas, multi-state areas that these storms may cover. The National Weather Service Warning Program is a proven program for winter weather, and that is what we're going to be following for some aspects of these storms this year.
And we know some of the criteria now. What do you think were some of the biggest benefits after going through it the first round last year?
Well, I've talked to so many people that have said that, when you attach a name to something, when you put a label on it, it is easier to follow, especially in this world of social media. We had over 1 billion hits through social media on our storms last year, and we will be following these storms by hashtagging them on Twitter and through other social outlets. But I'll tell you what, I went back and I looked at the tracks of these storms last year and watched them as they moved across the country, and you could see how these impacts affected a large area, a large population. And by knowing that the storm that hit Aunt Alice out in Arizona may be the same system that is going to affect you in New England 3 days later, it really gives a nice identity to that system as it moves across the nation.
Tom, will you talk about the names themselves?
Yeah, the names are really unique again this year. We were very lucky to have the Latin class from Bozeman, Montana. Their high school Latin class actually took upon themselves to do a project last year to set up a list of names for this year. And we've adopted those names. They're names that come from Greek and Roman mythology. And don't forget, Latin and Greek are the languages of science. So this matches perfectly. And I really like the names again this year.
Awesome. Now, any challenges last year that you're taking forward and moving ahead this year?
Well, again, it's the unique personalities of storms. Look, we had 3 storms last year that I can just mention. Athena began right in the beginning of the season, right up the New England coast. That occurred right after Sandy, after so many millions of people were heavily impacted by Sandy. Athena comes in and dumps the snow on that area. Tremendous impacts on that people. The next storm with a little different personality is Euclid. Euclid moved from Arkansas right up into New England during the Christmas holidays and produced a tremendous amount of impact through that whole area, especially down in places like Little Rock, Arkansas, and then all the way to Nemo. Nemo was the biggie, produced an all-time record snowfall in New England, a lot of snow in places like Portland down to Boston. So interesting from last year.
Any favorites on the list this year? What's your favorite name?
Well, I was watch Goodlow doing the show a little earlier, and Goodlow, I'll tell you, if anybody's going to be a Hercules, it's going to be Goodlow. So I like Hercules this year.
All right, Tom, there's a lot of opinions about the fact that we do name winter storms. What's the one thing you really want to drive home, you want people to know about?
By naming these winter storms, we raise the awareness of people to high impact winter weather situations across the nation. If you're traveling, you're going to be able to adjust your plans by knowing what that storm is going to do. If you're in a locale in an area and you got to get the kids to school or get to work on the next day, attaching that name to that storm and raising that identity of that storm is going to help communicate so that you can be prepared and you can adjust your plans and remain safe.